This review contains spoilers about Spider-Man No Way Home. Hi, this is Liz. Just saw Spider-Man No Way Home, the movie about a teenage boy who is bit by a radioactive spider and now is a superhero with spider-like tendencies who fights all the supervillains that come his way. Well, in this, the third installment of the third series, we see Peter Parker is unmasked. Everybody knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And in fact, we saw that in the end scene credits of the previous movie, Spider-Man Far From Home. And so he's revealed, and this causes a lot of problems for the people who know him as only Peter Parker, but now the whole world knows he's both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. So his family and his friends are bombarded by too much attention from everybody. He can't get anything done. People think because he's a superhero, he destroys everything, so he needs to be stopped. A lot of things are happening. Well, the first half feels like a totally different movie than the second half, but just like in every other film, Peter Parker's personal life and work life don't mesh very well, so he feels like he has to choose all the time. Well, in the middle, something or other happens wherein there is now a multiverse, so villains from other Spider-Man universes can come and fight this third one, but they don't know who he is. So that middle part is just establishing who all the villains are from previous movies, and then what are their motivations. And I thought, oh no, they're doing a Spider-Man 3 from the first series, and I didn't really like it because it was too crowded with villains. And I don't like the middle part because it's too crowded with villains of this movie either. But I know it's fan service for the people who love all of the characters from other films. I didn't like dealing with the villains. And then in the end, though, not only can the villains come from different universes, but also you get 3 different Spider-Men. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield reprising their roles, and they both have 5 o'clock shadows, just so that you know that they are adults. And just to sort of contrast a bit more from the young Peter Parker that Tom Holland is playing. They do a whole lot of fan service, meaning they address a lot of the issues that people have had with each of the different series. The fact that they make it a multiverse, meaning, we're all exist. It's not like we're not supposed to pretend that one is the other, but it's like 3 separate ones, which is fine. I mean, it's coming at the same time at the end of the James Bond series that I don't enjoy, and I don't think, have I even watched one of those? Anyway, Bond series wherein James Bond is a spy called 007, and that name 007 is given to somebody else. There's a lot of controversy over that, as it always is when there's a new actor going to play James Bond. Well, in the Spider-Man universe, they're not pretending it's all the same person. And it looks like James Bond is doing the same thing. They're trying to not to pretend it's all the same person. It's a multiverse. Well, no, I don't know if I better not even talk about the James Bond series because there are lots of experts out there. I think James Bond is supposed to be many different people, meaning one retires and they're replaced by another person who just happens to get the same number and name. I think that would make sense. So why am I talking about James Bond? This is all about Spider-Man. Spider-Man. I did enjoy the third act where the 3 Spider-Men work together and they do a lot of fan service, and before they do the fighting, they have to make the cure for their respective villains, And during those moments when they're gearing up for the big fight, they have little conversations that allude to earlier movies in these different series, and I appreciated it. I also just watched Andrew Garfield and Tick Tick Boom recently, so it was nice to see him as well. I haven't seen the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. Um, for some reason, I just haven't. I did enjoy the first one with Tobey Maguire, the first series with Tobey Maguire, and then for some reason skipped the middle one, but middle series. But then watched Spider-Man: Homecoming with Tom Holland. And I thought, okay, I might like the series again. I didn't really hate it or anything. It was just, I don't know. I felt like I'd outgrown a Spider-Man movie of any kind. As far as I know, the reason they have 8 different Spider-Man movies is because something to do with a contract with Sony. This is not a podcast that researches anything. Don't expect that okay, fine, I'm going to research a little bit. I've done some research a little bit just now, and basically the upshot is it makes money. I mean, I could have told you that. I thought that was some sort of contractual obligation to make 10 or something. I don't know where I heard that. But while looking around, I saw that there is another Tom Holland Spider-Man coming out. I think it might be in 2 parts in 2022, so there is that. But back to the movie. It is crowded and complicated on purpose. Spider-Man No Way Home. It's crowded on purpose. It's trying to do fan service to everybody who liked all 8 movies up to this point. It's also, in its own way, trying to clean house. As I say, this is a spoiler. Well, at this point, you already know that all 3 Spider-Man come back. So, anyway, so the ending is, well, my goodness, they kill off Aunt May before the big fight. That was just not necessary because oh, I forgot. I think Sony connected with Disney. And you know how Disney loves to kill off parental figures? Because in their mind, a child can't have any kind of adventure or grow or mature unless Disney kills off your parents. See, this is what happens when you collaborate with the mouse. They kill off your parents. Anyway, so they kill off the woman who was raising Spider-Man because for some reason they don't think she can exist and he can be a man. That's so annoying. And anyway, kill her off, do the big fight with the 3 Spider-Man. All of the villains get cured because, again, that's a Disney thing. But, they like to reassess their villains because nobody's really bad in a Disney movie these days. You can't just have a straight up villain anymore, apparently. And so Sony mixes with Disney and they start doing Disney things like that. Everybody goes back to their respective universes, and through all kinds of machinations, everybody forgets that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. That also means his 2 friends don't remember him anymore, ever. So it's kind of It's a Wonderful Life, but if he never got out of that dream he was having, which is a nightmare. So he still continues to be Spider-Man, but grown. He gets his dirty apartment. Why do they always have a dirty apartment? How is he making money? They don't address that part. So he's in a dirty apartment and goes out and listens to the police scanners to fight criminals in New York. And they make sure, and this is really for the parents, I think, the parents that apparently they want to kill off. Anyway, for the parents, they make sure there's a GED book in the box, just in case you were wondering if he ever graduated from high school. Well, he'll get his GED. And they're basically rebooting the series by having him do this, by having him basically show that he's moving beyond high school and basically moves out of Aunt May's house because since nobody remembers him, he can't necessarily inherit anything from her. So when he walks into his apartment and smiles, it's kind of odd because the last scene we saw him in was at her grave, so it's a little odd. Anyway, so he's starting off a new life as a grown person. And he tries to get his friends to remember him, and then he thinks better of it and just doesn't. And so that means they're going to reserve that type of thing for the next film, no doubt. Don't know, but it's interesting. That will make number 9 of these Spider-Man films, and if it's going to be 2, there'll be 10 altogether, which is what I thought I heard years ago about some kind of 10 picture deal, which is why there's so many of these movies. This third one of the Tom Holland films feels exceptionally different from the other 2 of his. It feels like a Marvel movie. Very complicated with lots of different powers and stuff like that. It's just, I like movies that are complex, but not necessarily complex superhero movies, because you can create any kind of power that anybody can have, and then it's easier to just say, oh yeah, this one can fly, and this one is electric, and this one, and anything can then be done. You can just write the solution within the character. What's harder then is to make it interesting, which they did. They did make it interesting. And there are a lot of tiers. You've got Tom Holland and Zendaya and the guy who plays Ned, whose name I should know, but I don't, because that would require research. Who is always so funny. He's like my favorite sidekick at this point. Whenever he's in his little chair and he's rolling around and just rolls into frame and asks a question, it's hilarious. And they reference that again, like they did with the Spider-Man Homecoming. He does it again with the current Spider-Man, with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and it's funny. Very, very good. All the actors are extremely. Everybody's teary. All the Spider-Men have to cry, remembering all the things they went through. Some of the villains are tearing up. Doc Ock was totally wasted, and I don't mean like inebriated. I mean, he didn't have much to do. Again, crowded with villains. I don't really need them. I just want Spider-Man to sit around talking. All 3 Spider-Man characters to sit around chatting, making references to their other movies. That would be fun. Probably do another review of the other one that's coming out. Will Zendaya be in the next one? Probably not, because he left her behind in this one. So I'm thinking that's the end of her character, MJ, and Ned. I think that's the end for them, because he's got to be grown up now, you understand. And all of the high school stuff will be put away. So this is going to be interesting.